I'm Rhys Gardiner, I'm 21 years old, and I'm a sim racer.
Look at that! Is that Gardiner?
That's Rhys Gardiner! Where did it come from?
Sim racing, if you want to like distill it down to the very core of what it is basically just driving pretend race cars over the internet. But there is a bit more to it than that. It's basically using home simulation software that's based in reality. So you've got tyre models, you've got all of these numbers, computational whatevers. I don't really know too much about it, but basically the goal is to get it as close to the handling of a real car as possible with the technology that you have here. The injury that I've got is a brachial plexus injury, and it's the result of an accident that happened at birth. Essentially, I was a very big baby. I was 12 pounds and my shoulders were incredibly wide, so my parents were persuaded to go the route of a natural birth, which turned out not to be the best decision, and I ended up getting stuck by my shoulders, and it was only my head that was sort of so I basically got stuck, and the guy who was delivering me decided to try and physically pull me out of my mother with a pair of forceps around my head, and he pulled way too hard, treated me way too roughly, and it turned out that all of the nerves down the back of my neck, around that area, which basically control the motor functions of the entire right arm, they were torn out of the spinal cord by the root. And basically I lost all possibility of having a real functioning right arm at that point. I did have an operation when I was 6 months old to reconnect a few of the nerves further down because they couldn't reconnect them in their original places, and that's given me some movement back, but for all intents and purposes my right arm is basically non-functional and my left hand does the vast majority of things. I can drive a real car with modifications. The modifications that I have to have basically amount to a handle that's affixed to the steering wheel and turns freely on its own. And on the one that I have, it's got a panel up at the top for basic car functions like the horn, indicators, and high beam headlights. Physically and legally, I cannot drive a manual, which I personally think is a bit of a shame. But I'm able to do what anyone else can. It's just my method of steering is a little different. My setup basically consists of just a wheel strapped to a desk at the moment. There's plenty of opportunities to create a more in-depth setup. Some guys even race with projectors, putting a giant projection of the screen in front of them so it actually looks like they're physically sitting in the car, which I think is pretty cool, and that's one of the goals that I want to accomplish for my setup. Earlier this year, earlier in 2015, I went to Bathurst, went over to New South Wales to attend the Bathurst 12-hour and spend some time with a couple of guys that I met through sim racing, and sit and talk with them and just share stuff, have a drink, and watch some really good racing while we're at it. It was a great experience. Incidentally, the Bathurst 12-hour was won by a team that had a couple of ex-sim racers on it. One of them was Florian Strauss, who I actually have raced against a couple of times, like way back in the R Factor days. He was fast then, he's fast now, and now he's a Bathurst 12-hour winner, so that's pretty cool. Real racing for me, I don't know if it's especially viable. It's still up in the air. I'm still not entirely 100% sure on what I can and can't do, and sim racing is one of the things that I can do in spite of the injury, and I'm very, very grateful for that, to actually have something that I can do and be fairly good at in spite of my injury.